Thank you for joining your Go with the Flow radio station, FlowFM 92.7. It's exactly 8 o'clock, and we welcome you to the headline news analysis, where we discuss, debate, and talk about trending national headlines. We unpack rumors, and of course, we state the fact just the way it is. You have a chance to join in the analysis as well, too, as provided by the in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. The number to call to join in the conversation to share your opinion is 0807 777 9927. Please do not hold back your thought. You can share them on the headline news analysis 0807 777 9927. A lot of interesting stories to touch on this morning that will, get you talking. My name is Adeyemi, and I'm not alone. We've got the standing lady in the house, and of course a perfect gentleman as well too. He's a lover of football. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Morning.
Good morning to you, and good morning to my dear colleague, Danielle Shitta-Bey. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a wonderful time this morning, and also thank you for joining us on the headline news analysis. The analysis is the platform created for you to be able to debate and analyze some of the news stories that were brought to you at 7, or anyone you see at a newspaper stand and you're looking at, you like to talk about it. You can definitely call us or send a message on WhatsApp, and we'll definitely get into it. The views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by individuals who call and the analyst, the in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
How was your trip down here as well?
Yeah, it's cool.
I thought you were going to miss that out.
I wasn't going to.
No.
Now, you refer to me as a perfect gentleman.
Yes.
A lot of guys don't like being referred to as gentlemen these
Why?
days,
Why?
But it comes with this prudish kind of, think you are old school and the rest of them.
I think that's what a lot of people like these days.
Oh, you really think you're in a better position to...
But you also know in the profession, we refer to everybody as, gentlemen of the press. So definitely, that's where I'm coming from.
A long time ago.
It's good to have you. Please join in that conversation this morning. Let's start off with this national conversation. This story came up last week when the president issued clemency to some, imprisoned Nigerians. Well, let's have the details of the story.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed instruments of clemency and pardon for selected inmates, completing the formal process of exercising his constitutional prerogative of mercy. Now, according to Bayo Naniga, the decision followed consultations with the Council of State and Public Impute, and the president ordered a review of the earlier list to exclude individuals convicted of serious crimes such as kidnapping, drug offences, human trafficking, fraud, and illegal possession of firearms. The review also saw some sentences reduced for all commuted in line with the principles of justice, balancing the rights of offenders, victims, and society. As part of wider judicial reforms, Tinubu has directed the relocation of Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy from the Ministry of Special Duties to the Ministry of Justice, and instructed the Attorney General to issue new guidelines ensuring only deserving individuals benefit from future exercises.
The first question is, was the president not in the real know of that compiled list before, granting, pardon?
More or less, I'm beginning to have this feeling that I think we have been played by Mr. President. Yeah. Either that, or the people that you have in the Ministry of Special Duties and the presidency are one bunch of confused, convoluted, people who have no business being there in the first place. Because, let's start from this. I find it extremely difficult to believe that a highly organized man like Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a well-organized person who made that kind of a mistake. More or less, the Machiavellian side of me wants to believe that he actually has the people he wants to pardon. Yeah, those are the real people he wants to pardon. They are already there on the one hand. Then of course you now bring in a lot of misfits. Then on the base of the outrage, okay, you said, okay, I have listened to the public. So then you can then have these people, where you now have, of course, the man who hid the bribe in his cap made it to the final list, made the final court. That's what's the name of that lawmaker?
That lawmaker, Lawan.
Or of course, he made it through, And then, of course, you have a downward review of the sentence of that woman that killed her husband.
Mariam.
Yeah, 6 years imprisonment now, So at the end of the day, what that tells me, that is if I were to think like the cynic I'm trained to be as a journalist, you rather think that this is exactly what he wanted in the first instance. So all these other the entire 175 names is, just, because when you look at the precedents we never had it like this, where after announcing that you now do a review. No. You just announce, because the assumption is that you will have done your homework. You will have gone through the checks, looked at it through, the prisms of justice being served or not being served, the good it will do to the society, giving a second chance to an offender. And you would have done all those things before you present it to eminent leaders of the country, people who have been presidents like you. You understand? Who have done things like that in the past.
Right.
You understand? Then then you can announce it to the public because it's already done. So having to announce it, bringing past leaders, past presidents, head of states, governors, together in one place and give them a hodgepodge of, something that is not well thought out, then only to come back later and review it. There is something wrong with that. So this is my initial take on that. Then on the other hand, which is what you rightly pointed out, is it that they didn't do a thorough job? I think, that's another angle. If that happens, you understand, somebody's head must be on the chopping block.
Because again, if you look at the review, it's also moved, that's duty from under the Ministry of Special Duties to the Ministry of Justice, and of course, the president did give reasons as to saying that the Ministry of Justice can will be able to properly monitor this case and see where it landed.
I think all those are afterthoughts. That's just an afterthought. It's just a way of just putting in it's just the icing on the cake, just to make it look like everything is legit. I tend to want to take it from this angle because I need to hold them accountable for this kind of opera. You understand? There is no room for me to be sympathetic, to him on this. Because we are talking of, look at the number of people, the kind of human species that made it into the initial list. That is the outrage that I'm responding to as a Nigerian. You understand? So, especially when you have, you have a situation where there has been agitation about so many things, about, the need to take a second view at certain individuals that have been in prison for several years, that have demonstrated that they have a change of heart, even had degrees, open university in prison. There are so many of them. So many people who went in there, they were as hardened criminal, but over the years, they've softened. They've seen the other side of life. They've even acquired skills, taken degrees up to PhD in prisons. So, what kind of, if you really want to reform, if it's supposed to be correctional, that is the poster. That is the kind of those are the kind of images you want to tell people that look. There is always a second chance if you are willing to be repentant. But that is not the story we see here. The story we see here is about connection. You commit any amount of crime in Nigeria, if you are well connected, you can get a presidential pardon. That is the only lesson that is coming out of this. And I do not see how the morality of a country survives. The sense of integrity, the sense of, national conscience survives under that kind of an assault. So that is where I'm coming from, It's for me. I think it's an afterthought. They should think of something else.
That power is extended to state governors as well, too.
Of course.
And I think during Democracy Day, Independence Day celebration, some of the state governors, issue pardons. Is it the same situation that plays out at the state level? Because
I'm not sure.
If it is that way, we have lots of inmates at the correctional, centers that are totally repentant. And they probably one day hoping that the light of freedom will shine on them.
Sorry, if I may, there is nothing like totally. You cannot, because we are dealing with humans. You can't say totally repentant because it's an intention. Nobody can determine whether he's truly repentant. But what they look at is what has he been doing? Does his activities show that he has shown enough remorse? Does he have a change of ways? Maybe they look at, if when he came in, he was always involved in brawls, fighting and the rest of them, disobeying, then of course, over time, you've seen he has mellowed. You have brought him to mediate when there are conflicts. You see him doing social works within the prison. You've seen him acquire skills, educating, or even teaching people within the prisons. You know, some of them, when they acquire some of these degrees, they start teaching other inmates. So you have all this. It's an entire system. For one of my colleagues, who had this issue of a cybercrime thing that was taken to Ikoyi. One of the journalists, he came back and told me so many things I was having. It's a world on its own in there. I have never had that kind of experience, and I don't pray to have one. So what I'm saying invariably is that it's from the activities, what they do. That you can draw an estimate. It's just an estimate. It's not absolute. That probably.
Quite true.
So I cannot vouch for anybody that has committed crime, convicted of crime, whether he has sinned because I'm not God. You understand? Their heads because it's only the Almighty that can read the heart, and design the true intent of a person. But by and large, what we are saying is there are parameters of measuring. It's there, it's clear. These things they've simplified it over the years, So, but it's so painful that, the president, with its awesome power and resources, had, the time, had the luxury, had, all the opportunities to put that into play. And he came up with that kind of a list. It's, I don't know how else to describe it for want of better things to say. I think it's just something it's rather saddening, really.
So would you agree with the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, where he said that the presidency is governing by trial and error?
Oh, well, that is another suggestion. It suggests that look, they are just how do you put it, winging it. You wing it. That is something you're not prepared for. You just go along. Just go along as it comes. That's Atiku is right in making that call. But considering the fact that I think he should be a member of that national. I haven't been a vice president. He worked under Obasanjo for 8 years. And all those prerogative there was never any instance where we have this kind of a controversy. The only time we had it was under Jonathan, who pardoned Alami Yesega. You understand? And in fact, Alami Yesega's controversy is even explainable. Because considering the fact that, the major plank upon which he considered was that he was a major player in bringing the Niger Delta militants to the table. In fact, there was even one particular that I was privy to, there was a standoff on the high seas where some militants took oil workers hostage. They took them hostage. I mean, they had guns, they barricaded themselves on the rig. One man with just a security detail went there and negotiated their release as a governor, and that was Alami Yesega. This thing is well documented. In fact, we are in Yanogwa when that happened. You understand? So, because of that past service that he has rendered for the country, those were one of the considerations that made them give Alami Yesega that pardon. So, but what we are saying is that, for an Alami Yesega, this is what he has done. He was a former governor and things like that. There were, he was impeached and he was sent to jail and things like that. He spent some time there. And he was given a pardon. At least you have something to say to that. But we are now saying that some of these people that you have granted pardon or reduced their sentences, let us consider their record vis-a-vis what they got at the end of the day. That's what we're saying.
0807-777-9927 is number to call or to send a message to be part of the conversation this morning. Let's move to another news story real quick. The majority leader of the Kano State House of Assembly, Honorable Lawan Hussein Idala, has accused the Nigerian Customs Service of bias in its ongoing recruitment exercise, alleging that the process favors states in the southern region, particularly the southwest. And he described the recruitment as a violation of the federal character principle, noting that while Lagos received 207 slots, Ogun State received 145 slots, Kano got only 31, and the entire Northwest about 7% of the total 1,785 recruits nationwide.
The thing about this, let me say that the federal character provision has been rampantly abused over the years. It's if what he's saying is true, you understand, this wouldn't be the first time you've had things like that. Under the former president, we had, all this hullabaloo about, the skewed appointment process you have, favoring a section of the country up north than, those in the south. We had it all over. But you see, normally when things like this come in, I'm always careful about taking a position because he has only thrown figures at me. You know, I would want a proper response. It might just be maybe the explanation for that might just be that what the customs have decided to do is to balance what appears to be an how do you call it? A disproportionate recruitment that has been there in the past. You understand? It might just be like that. You know, because I'm saying this because there had been one instance where a section of the country, cried about marginalization and things like that. And when we went, I think it was immigration. Then we went over to ask, why, I was in Abuja then, and the officer that was, by the comptroller then asked to respond to us, just brought out the figures of what has been done over the years. That what they have tried to do is that, look, when you look at this particular people, there hasn't been intake from there. Usually there is always an apathy. You understand? Anytime they say, when they do a nationwide recruitment, when they go to that section of the country, there is always apathy for coming into the service. So over the years, the space has been, it has been, that is, they have a lot of deficit from that side. So what they have tried to do is to concentrate on that so that everybody will have a sense of belonging. So they now gave a concise detail of the number of recruitment per zones that you currently have in the service. As it turned out, the explanation was quite, it was acceptable. So probably, I'm not saying that, I'm not holding forth for customs. Maybe what is happening there is just a way of trying to balance what appears to be a lopsided recruitment over the years. Maybe, I don't know, but I think just throwing that figure at me, will not help me tell my entire story as a journalist. I want to dig further, so maybe they can have it just as a report. But if you are going to do a thorough story, on that kind of a thing, you will need to look at what they have on ground, whether there is a disproportionate, recruitment, if it's going to be disproportionate, or if it's just to balance, then of course there is no issue of, contravening the federal character, provisions of the Constitution.
When it comes to recruitment for customs or immigration and all of these people, is it more about like what you said, proportioning for different regions, or about the qualifications that individuals have, and then it ends up being that a particular region just has more people? It seems like they have more people, but they were hired because they had the qualifications or they were just right for the job.
Again, that is another issue. But again, I think that is a general recruitment exercise that maybe the basic entry is just secondary school. So, and to a very large extent, I think, the entire, that is, when you look at the entire region, I think they should be able to get candidates qualified for those level of recruitment. You understand? Yes, you're absolutely correct. If we say 1,200 from every zone, it doesn't mean you just go and grab a man on the street and bring him there, bring a Meshai to come and start doing no, he must have the requisite qualification. If we are saying, okay, from every one of those 1,200, about 200 must be officers, must be in the officers cadre, must be in recruitment, rank and file, and the rest of them. You understand? You must have the qualification. So the moment the qualification is not there, it is left vacant. That is what I think. This is my
0807 777 9927 is the number to call or text.
Let's take a few comments that we have from Facebook and WhatsApp. Facebook first, Dr. Mrs. Ma Olebara from Owerri. What do we say to a government that speaks before it plans? That government's by impulse rather than insights. Any government that acts before thinking is not a viable one. It has become a recurring decimal and very worrisome. This revocation signifies lack of coordination and conviction. What do we say to a leadership that governs by corrections? A good leader stands by principles and weighs the pros and cons of his action. That's Dr. Mrs. Olebera. Good morning, FlowFM. Mr. Nicholas, kindly educate me. I thought they say the privileges of Nobel laureates include being able to travel to any country without visas. That is, they are like world citizens and expect except for political issues that leads them to being restricted from traveling. Dai Lama's issue, for example, with China. Is there any truth in this? Ayo from Adewale. I guess where he's coming from is there are rumors or news flying around that the United States.
So, yeah, it is true.
Has,
he confirmed it.
Banned
himself.
him from entering in the United States.
Well, you see, it's a qualified privilege. You know, you're as a Nobel laureate, it does not necessarily follow that you can enter any country. The only person I know that can go into any country without a visa
is the Queen.
Is the
Queen
King of England.
Queen or King of England. Yes,
that's the only person I know. So I don't think it extends to Nobel. Yes, there might be privileges because you are a Nobel laureate, so it's an express service. But again, like I said, it is qualified. You have to end that. I think that Wadishwika himself has been in a controversy for a while. And from his interview that I listened to yesterday, honestly, I think it was a bad outing for him. He shouldn't have come out to say the kind of things. He said his green card had an accident. What accident? He wasn't explicit on that. What we know, what is on the public domain is that, a country wants to have its election. And they made a choice of their president. He said, if this president gets in, you are going to tear your green card. He said it openly. And he was questioned after. He said he has torn it up, full stop. I still have those things. He said it. So you see, when a country gives you, it's their property. They extended a privilege to you. So you can't say because you hit one candidate, you bring the property of that particular country down, you bring it down that low. It's not your country. You are a Nigerian. That is America. You understand? You see, look, we must disabuse our minds of this sense of, how do I call it, entitlement, regardless of what we think we are. And that's the simple truth. You understand? Honestly, I think he was not well advised in coming out to say the kind of things he said. I think
who probably would advise Professor Wole Soyinka.
Ironically, he has.
Or probably maybe he wasn't well thought out.
It wasn't well thought out. He shouldn't have come out to say things like that because the records are clear. It's all over. So and again, the country reserves the right to give you or review. If it were to be Russia or China that does, we will be having it. You won't be having that issue already. You say well, it's a dictatorship and things like that. So that's my point. That is my position about that. Please.
All right. Well, I hope Ayo, you're a bit satisfied with the enlightenment that you sought from Nicholas. Let's quickly squeeze in another story. I'll introduce it. But before then, let's take this call.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Shitta. I'm calling from Zongo.
Shitta from Zongo. Please go ahead.
Yes, my comment is on first on the issue of Professor Wole Soyinka's visa denial. To me, I don't see anything that is wrong in that. As a person, in my opinion, I still don't like it. All of them should sit in Nigeria so that we fix this country together. Because if you look at the sense of entitlement of our allies in this country, you get annoyed. America can determine who enter into their country or who must not enter. We know when the prof was saying he's going to change green card if somebody was elected. So why is he talking from partisanship then? And they are taking decision now. So if I were prof, I would just keep quiet. They should sit in Nigeria. In fact, they should deny more people so that we fix this country together. And for the presidency, in fact, they did not do well on the issue of clemency, or violence. Because things like that is something they are supposed to take with all seriousness. A lot of consultation, before they come out, I even put that list on public. But now, they are reviewing it. It's very, very wrong from their part. So, which is not good enough for us, because beyond that, we are talking about in Nigeria. The entire world are looking at us. So that, they will be mocking us that what kind of country is this? So they can do better. So I think that is my comment this morning. Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
All right. God bless Nigeria. Thank you. That's Shitu. Thank you so very much. Let's quickly take this comment. Good morning to the Double Ds and Mr. Nicholas. So the first story, my own belief is that the list was put together by the Pardon Committee and the President just received it to sign it, and the committee did the imputing of people who they had connections with. That might even be the reason the committee was moved to the judiciary. And to the second story, Mr. Nicholas has spoken the truth, just like it's happening in the army recruitment. They have given more slots to Lagos, and Lagos State is encouraging its youth to go into the army recruitment exercise. Mohammed from Sobi. Thank you a lot, Mohammed.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Let's touch on this story just before we round off on the analysis. Yesterday, we talked about how there's been the representatives are probing into the NFF about the 1.2 million naira that they funded for the Benin Kebbi Stadium, and now the former Nigerian Football Federation president Amaju Pinnick has dismissing these allegations of financial mismanagement and saying that the 1.1 million that was awarded in 2020 followed due process without cost variation despite even the COVID-19 delays, and urged Nigerians to verify facts before making accusations.
I think he didn't think about what he came out to say, because they showed an equivalent of what was built.
Nicholas, please hold those thoughts a little. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
You're live. Good morning. Okay. Please try and connect back if you can. Please go on. Equivalent of what was obtainable in Kenya.
In Kenya was shown to the world, and they compared it with what they was built in Kebbi. And there is supposed to be another one in Delta. We haven't seen that of Delta at all. You understand? He is from Delta. You understand? See, if we have to unpack what is really happening, you see, you notice since yesterday I have been a little bit guarded, because there is one state in there is a central Nigeria, that is Middle Belt. There is a semblance of that kind of scandal. You know, the money actually meant to build, collected from FIFA, was supposed to for building a stadium. Was kind of converted, and before you know what's happening, it's captured under a different thing to renovate an already existing stadium. It's a very strong rumor, strong allegation. It has a very strong basis. I don't want to name it. It's within the North Central region. So you see, this allegation has always been there. It's been rife with us. Even package, this Go project in Package B that we have in Abuja. There was this same controversy was all over the place that wasn't the specification that was given to them. So what is he talking about? So I think you see, it is quite welcomed what the House of Rep is doing, though they should be cautious. Then, and don't forget, it is FIFA itself that came out to make this claim. It is FIFA itself. So FIFA should go the whole hog, thoroughly examine the whole matter, so that when they are done, then we know how to hold these people responsible, accountable.
Listen to this. Mohammed says the NFF said the money isn't given to the NFF directly, but to FIFA private contractor in the country. They want to carry out the project. Is that the process across countries?
Even the unilateral bodies, UN, when they don't give you the money directly. You understand? They give it to a FIFA approved. Who brings those FIFA approved? The FIFA cannot just bring and just superimpose it on you. It has people who will recommend, but it must be FIFA. It must be social specification and the rest of them. That is what FIFA will tell you. So how they go around to get those kind of people that will play ball with them is another matter entirely. We all know how these things. We know where the bodies are buried. If they want us to exhume it, we'll start exhuming it now.
All right. Well, thank you so very much, Nicholas, for your thoughts this morning. And we also say big thank you to Dr. Mrs. Olebara from Oweri. We must say thank you to Mohammed from Sobi as well, to Anaisi. Thank you so very much. And Shitu, who called in from Zongo. The other caller we couldn't get through to you. So, but another day, and tomorrow is another day, 8 o'clock to 8:30, where you can air your views, and of course, joining the national conversation.
Your closing thoughts.
Well, there has been so many issues, really. But this issue of the FIFA thing is one that is getting to me. I think we get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 of staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analysts and then all the individuals that called. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.
And I am Adedayo Adeyemi. Good morning to you.
past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7. My music, my radio.